Good morning, everyone. So, how was your Holy Week, students? Okay. So, I hope that everybody is doing good. And for today's session, we will be discussing another topic for this term. Okay, so we've done already with the front office department. So, under accommodations, operations, and management, we need to tackle about the front office department, food and beverage department, the housekeeping department and the human resource department. So since we already done with the front office department, now we will jump to the F&B or the food and beverage department. So our learning objectives is at the end of the session, the students must be able to, number one, know food and beverage organizational chart, defining F&B roles, and to familiarize their functions. So let's start with the food and beverage organizational chart. So as you can see here on the illustration, we have the restaurant manager, followed by the head waiter, and then we have the head wine waiter on the left side of the chart, then go along with the wine waiter or the sommelier and the apprentices. And then on the other side, we have the carver, buffet chef, and if ever that the organization will have another number of staff, so we can consider that as the additional staff. And at the center, as you can see from the head waiter, is we have the station head waiter, we have the station waiter, assistant waiter, and the apprentices. Okay, so we will discuss from this chart on what are those jobs, responsibilities, and functions of those F&B personnel or food and beverage personnel. So when we say food and beverage personnel, these are the person working in the food service industry, and it must recognize the roles and duties of others in the same area because it helps to achieve the goals and aims of the establishment. So if you are in the position of food and beverage personnel, make sure that you are flexible enough to do the task of other or your other coworkers, so that if there are times happen that they're not around, you know what to do as if you are working on their station too. Example is you are assigned to be a chef on that day. So supposedly you will be designated to the kitchen, but the other employee or the staff is being absent due to some reason, and that personnel is assigned to the bread and pastry station. He or she is the one who is preparing sweets, those cakes, and so on. So if that will happen, of course, you need to go there to the bread and pastry station to do his or her task. So that's the when we say familiarizing and being flexible on the other tasks of your coworkers under the F&B department, so that you will achieve the goals and your objective within the day. Okay, so here are the responsibilities of the food and beverage personnel. So the food and beverage personnel is very generic term, but under that there's a certain specification or specific terminologies that we need to use inside the food and beverage department. So start with the restaurant manager. or in French term, we can call this one as director du restaurant. So he has an overall responsibility for the food and beverage service areas, and this includes the lunch floors, grill rooms in the restaurants. So, meaning to say, the restaurant manager is the one who needs to oversee the task of every department. Actually, this is pertaining to the entire dining area, okay? And he or she must know the responsibilities of his or her people, okay? And as well as the restaurant manager has the idea on how to open and close a restaurant. And a restaurant manager as well may act as the boss or the authority inside the food and beverage department. And we have also the head waiter, or in French term, this is maître de hotel. So he has an overall charge of the staff team in the dining room. So prior to the restaurant manager, the head waiter as well may act as the assistant of the RM, or the restaurant manager. So he or she is the one who will lead, who will train the staff. It can be in the position of training personnels or old personnels in that particular hotel under the F&B department. He or she must be attentive, okay, of the performances of the F&B personnel, okay? And we have also the station head waiter, or the maître de hotel de carré. So that is a French term, which means he has the responsibility of the team of staff serving a set number of tables from one sideboard, and this set of tables under his control is called a station. Okay, so we are pertaining from the word team of staff. So the station head waiter will designate number of people, number of staff that is in charge for specific area or location. Example, inside a restaurant, if the restaurant is too big, of course, there's a table, a lot of tables numbers. Say for example, table 1 to 10, there's a particular team or staff who will be in charge in serving all the guests. So the station head waiter is the one who will assign those staff that they need to be placed. They need to be attentive on the guest needs. Okay? And of course, for every for every area, okay, of the restaurant, there's a sideboard, or the station, the side station, okay, that is needed if we will refill, if we will be needing some service equipment to be placed on the table, or it can be requested by the guests, extra plates, extra glass, extra cutleries, and so on. So they will get all those service equipment on the sideboard or the side station. Okay, so specifically, they don't need to go to other stations or table numbers like table 11 to 20, because they are in charge, this team, for table 1 to 10 only. So the station head waiter again is in charge of organizing his or her people. Okay? And the station waiter, which called chef de rang, he must be able to carry out the same work as the station head waiter. Okay, so almost the same with the function of the head waiter, but specifically they are in charge in making sweets. Okay, sweets corner, and the bread and pastry products. and that's it. That's their specification. And assistant station waiter is the demi chef de rang. So this position is usually only found in the continent. So this person assists staff in the particular station when necessary. Okay, so assistant of the station waiter is what we call the demi chef de rang. So whatever the situation inside the restaurant, of course, the assistant station waiter will be or the one will be catering all the needs of the customers, or if there's any conflict or problem inside, of course, if the station waiter is not around, so he or she is the one who will finish or deal on that scenario. If the problem naman is the products, the baked goods, okay, lack of stocks or the ingredient, of course, the assistant will give his or her function to the staff as well, and also to the guest. Function to assist if that is necessary. And the assistant waiter or the commis de rang, this person acts by instruction from the chef de rang. This position is also known as commis de suite. Okay? So more of the instructions headed by the chef de rang. So he or she is the one will be imposing those instruction to the restaurant. So what are particular instructions? Example is if the restaurant has a new rollout of a product, sweet potato chips. That is an example. So he or she is the one will give the instruction on the details and what is the sweet potato chips all about, so that the stuff inside will be familiarized on that, and it will help them to upsell or to market that new rollout of product to the customer. So more of instructions, not just a new rollout of product, but also if there's a new rules to be executed. Okay, especially for the staff. And we have the apprentice or the beresur. So it's not deba, it's debe. The beresur, he is also known as the learner. So they are considered as trainee, newly hired. Okay, so they are the one who will need some time to be equipped and to be knowledgeable for the specific task that they will give to them under food and beverage department. And we have the carver or tarsier. So parang it's tarsier. Okay, on you will pronounce that French term. And he or she is responsible for the carving trolley and the carving of joints at the table required. So this position is usually associated with guerdon service and will plate up each portion with the appropriate accompaniment. So most of the time, after the chef prepared the dish ordered by the guest, so it will be served automatically to our customers or to the guests. But here in the position of a carver, they need to prepare the food in the front of the customers. They need to garnish it in the front of the customer by the use of gueridon trolley, and that is called gueridon service. Everything that is needed to be put or needed to be placed on the plate must be in the front of the customers. Okay, every portion, every ingredient that is needed for that dish is needed to be performed in the front of the guest. So that is carver. Okay, and the wine waiter or the other term is sommelier. So this person is responsible for the service of all alcoholic beverages during the service of meals. So of course, as a sommelier, they need to introduce, of course, the brand of the wine sample. Can be red or white wine or sparkling wine. And then what's the flavor? What's the taste? Where is the origin of that wine before it is being tasted by the guest. The last part of doing the function of wine waiter is he or she needs to ensure that the customer will taste, and of course the customer will love the taste of that specific wine before they will order. Okay, so it is happen during the mealtime. Of course they need to market the wine if the customer wants to have an additional wine on his or her table. Okay, and we have the lunch staff or chef de salle, which means this staff deals with lunch service as specific duty in a first class establishment only. So when we say lunch service, it is something to do with a formal fine dining restaurant. Okay, something that is really special compared to the normal fine or casual restaurant. Okay, because here it includes some special service that is requested by the guest. Example, if they want the service of food is like a French service. So when we say a French service, for every dishes or meal, the waiter or waitresses are in charge to put it one by one on their plate, on their table. Okay? So that is something so special because most of the time or the normal service is putting all the plate with dish already or the course already on the table. But in French service, that's why it is called as a special service because the attendant or the F&B personnel will put one by one all the courses they have ordered. Okay? And of course, if they have special requests of the dish, example, beef, so you need to be aware on that and request it to the chef that they want the beef to be cooked like this. Okay? So that's the responsibility of a lounge staff. And we have also the floor waiter or what we call the chef de etage. Chef de etage. Okay, so often the floor service staff is responsible for a complete floor in an establishment such as a hotel, depending on the size of establishment, number of rooms, or end suites. So this is considered as a room service. So they are the one who serve or deliver food and beverage to the customers having their check-in inside the hotel. So most of the time the customers want to eat inside their room, so they will have a phone call to the food and beverage department and have some order, and then the floor waiter or the room service, okay, waiter will be delivering those food and beverage being requested by the guest. But normally, it is happen depends on the size of the hotel. But if the hotel is too small, okay, the size of the hotel is just having an economy room, so the hotel is suggesting the customer to go to the restaurant na lang. Okay? Para hindi na maghatid ng pagkain pa to their specific room. And then we have the buffet chef or chef de buffet. He is in charge of the buffet in the room. So it's presentation and its service. So under F&B department, of course, if there's a certain events, occasions, so they are the one who will prepare everything from food to beverage and so on. From the design, from having a setup of the service equipment and so on. So the buffet chef will present those food that is appealing to the guest for that particular event and place it on the table, on a long table, and of course they need to transfer it in a food warmer. Okay, so from appetizer, soup, salad, main course, dessert, beverage, and also we need to include pasta and rice. So the buffet chef is in charge on that. Even the way it is being plated, and of course the presentation, it includes the taste, the flavor, and so on. And we have the cashiers. So this person are responsible for all the earnings of the food and beverage operations, and it includes the making up of bills from food and drink checks. So busboy, in French term, they are called as commis or runner. So he or she assists the waiters in the operation of the station. So most of the time, they are the one who is cleaning the table because of the soiled dishes, no, na ginamit ng guest, and they are the one who will wiping the table, sanitize the table, and keep everything away so that it is again prepare for another setup of those service equipment. And we have the function or catering banqueting staff. So number of staff depends on the size of the establishment. So most of the banqueting staff are engaged on a casual basis or temporary, except for the banqueting manager and a few other assistants as well as waiters who are the permanent staff. So if there is a chance na merong event inside the hotel, so normally ginagawa yan sa F&B or food and beverage department or sa function room ng hotel. So if the number of guests is very or few, so all permanent waiters are in charge on their specific task. But will if the guests are considered like more of the expected numbers, so they need to hire casual or what we call the on-call waiters and waitresses in order to help them for that specific functions or event. And that's it. So we discussed the different duties and responsibilities of F&B personnel and the organizational chart. Paano yung nakita yung illustration kanina, no? Ng kanilang job position. So this this will be the end of our session for today. I hope you have learned something from today's topic, and I want you to go to our G class work. So kindly check, of course, no, your sit work for today. Okay, thank you for listening, and God bless everyone.